Greetings. This is Sunny Days 305 Degrees podcast. And this segment, I want to talk about grieving while in prison from my own experience. So I remember it was coming up on 1 year that my daughter had passed. And I couldn't understand it. I couldn't grasp it. I couldn't believe it. And so while my family was going through, at that time, funeral arrangements and grieving and all of that stuff, in my mind, none of that was true. And so I found myself walking around, still being a minister, still being able to pour into people, still being able to inspire people, while at the same time, unbeknownst to me, I was going through the grieving process and I didn't know it. And so while it looked like I was calm and I was cool and I was collective, on my inside was raging with anger and all sorts of things that I did not understand at the time. And so I remember an incident happened one morning where we were supposed to clean up the chaplain area. And this tall, big Caucasian guy, he came out seeming like he was screaming on me, but he was talking to all the staff that worked in the chaplain department. And he said, "Hey, whoever don't want to work and clean this building up, you should find you another job." And so in my mind, I'm thinking he talking to me. And so being raised up, coming through USP Atlanta Penitentiary, when, a Caucasian, especially a Caucasian, raise up his voice or scream on me like that, I have to deal with him. And so things escalated throughout that day. And so when I finally got into the chaplain area, I decided that when he come in the chaplain area, I'm going to try to take his life. And so I'm waiting back in the cud in the chaplain area, waiting for him to come in the back. And so while he's in the back, I'm having a conversation with myself. I'm like, "What's wrong with you?" And then the answer come back, "I don't know." And then some say, "But you in trouble." I say, "I know." Say, "If you do something to that man, do you know you're not gonna ever get out of prison?" And then some answer, "I know, but I can't let it go." And then I'm sitting there with my head in my hand like this, and now I'm weeping and I'm crying because I am in trouble. Because I'm thinking about taking a man's life like seriously. And so I went to the chaplain for his, for him to pray for me, to pray over me, to put his hands on me and all of that stuff. And after he did all of that, it worked for while I was in his presence. But when I left him and seen that guy again, felt like an explosion went off in my mind. Boom! I got a migraine headache, and now my mind shifting back to violence. And so at some point, I don't know how it happened, I remember going to the psychiatry department to talk to the psychiatrist. And when I went inside the psychiatrist department, and she began to tell me the things that was going on with me, and she coined it as I was going through a grieving process, but I didn't deal with it properly. And so, mind you, I was a minister. So people came to me when people died in their family. People came to me when they had problems in their home. People came to me when they needed uplifting. So I had the information in me to do those sort of things. But I did not have the information in my mind to deal with the grieving process. And while I was going through that exchange with the guy, I couldn't even pull up a scripture in my mind to kind of soothe me down, to calm me down. You know what I mean? And so the greatest thing that I had done in that situation was to go seek psychiatric help. And I know for a lot of our people that you feel like you crazy, you going to see the crazy person, you going to see the psych. But I promise you, if I had not, and it wasn't in my intention to go to the psychiatry department. I don't know if it was after the prayer that the chaplain gave me that put some things into motion. But by the time I went, and let me tell you, like, for that whole year that I just could not believe that my daughter was gone. And I remember every Friday I used to stand in front of that loudspeaker, waiting for them to call me to go on a visit with my daughter. But I used to be dressed up, so we had religious services on Fridays. So when people thought I was dressed up to go to my religious service, I was dressed up every Friday to go on a visit with my daughter that had passed a whole year. And so after I sat with the psychiatrist, she explained every emotion that I was feeling. And as she was giving me that information, I could feel the pressure going out of my body, right? And after that, on the 1-year anniversary, that's when my wife, I asked her to send the tapes in at the funeral and the pictures, because it took me 1 whole year and to go through grief to finally come to the realization that my daughter had indeed passed. So this Sunny Days 305 Degrees podcast, where it's always real and it's always raw. Thank y'all for subscribing. I'd like for you to go to my YouTube page, hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video with our people that think going to get professional help means that we crazy. Peace.